Let's get more now on nitrous oxide, or laughing gas, becoming a Class C substance by the end of the year. Used nitrous canisters have become a blight in public places such as parks, and heavy use can result in nerve damage and even paralysis. I'm joined now by Dr. David Nicol, a consultant neurologist at City Hospital, Birmingham, who has treated patients for the effects of nitrous oxide. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. And I gather you're not sure this is the right decision.
No, indeed. Myself and 14 colleagues actually wrote to Chris Phipps last week because we're concerned that this will actually stigmatise an already stigmatised group even further. And really the question to ask is, really, would users facing potentially 2 years in prison, are they more or less likely to seek medical help? And I suspect the answer is less. So that's going to actually make the situation worse, potentially driving it underground. When actually there's existing legislation. Indeed, you know, I started getting the names and addresses of suppliers last summer, sent those to West Midlands Police. And, you know, I walked past one of the shops literally a week ago, or just over a week ago, and they're still there. So there's existing legislation which could take these suppliers out right now, which, you know, I don't think is being used effectively. I think there's very limited use. I can see where if someone's driving, there's really no legitimate reason why someone should be having nitrous oxide in the car. And, you know, certainly I've seen patients where the reason they've come into hospital is because they've been ballooning whilst driving. I
see. So what you're saying is that they may delay coming to hospital at a time when their symptoms may be treatable. Absolutely. Well, that's already happening. I mean, the patient you showed earlier, Musa, from February, that was actually my patient. I'd spent 18 months asking any of my patients, would they be willing to speak to a journalist, even anonymously, to warn others about the risk. And people are so embarrassed, so ashamed. So if we're stigmatizing this even further, they will be reluctant to even go and talk to the doctor about it, which is, we should be dealing with this as a medical problem rather than a criminal problem. I mean, I loathe this stuff as much as anyone, but essentially if we're treating fly tipping, which is what this is, when actually we should be dealing with this as a medical problem, a public health problem. Well, it seems the problem... Sorry to interrupt you, but it seems the Home Secretary is treating it as an antisocial problem, saying, you know, today they're fed up with yobs abusing drugs in public places, leaving behind a disgraceful mess for others to clean up. But it's a health problem, okay? And fundamentally, this is last summer, okay? So these are the little silver wimpers that you might have seen. Now, in the last year, I haven't seen a single patient come in taking this. So last summer, I was seeing people maybe taking 200 of these in a session, and now I'm seeing these, okay, which are clearly not for human consumption. This is 75 times the dose, maybe taking 6 of these. And the way to deal with this is to deal with the supply side. So in what way, and I would say, what way will a new law make any difference if we aren't enforcing the old law? And, you know, I've actually set up a petition asking West Midlands Police to arrest the people of the, you know, I'm obviously not going to name them, that we already know of. Yeah. Now, look, Musa was talking about paralysis and so forth. Just give us a sense of what, you know, heavy use of nitrous oxide can do to the body. Absolutely. So the kind of standard, we maybe see young people, usually early 20s, presenting with tingling or numbness, difficulty walking or unable to walk. And, you know, sometimes, you know, most will get better, but not all. And, you know, I've seen people months later still requiring crutches to walk. One of my neurosurgical colleagues has had to put a shunt into 3 separate patients who nearly went blind, basically from lack of oxygen to the brain because of repeated ballooning, because it's a very short-term effect, only lasts, you know, 60 to 90 seconds. But also, colleagues in Amsterdam discovered other symptoms were patients presenting with blood clots of the lungs through pulmonary emboli and DVTs as well. So it's not just neurological problems, and it's really, really important. I think in the same way that a doctor, healthcare professional asks about smoking and alcohol history, in unexplained neurological symptoms, I would also be asking about nitrous oxide use, because they might not necessarily connect to. And just finally, we've only got 30 seconds left, but what you're saying is then more support for addiction rather than, you know, driving this thing underground.
Which could make it worse. And there's big money behind this. And so we should be taking out the suppliers, many of which there's a franchise of shops in Birmingham that is well known to those in the know, including the police. You know, make some arrests using the existing law.
Yeah, okay, David, Dr. Nichol, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks very much.